Hi everyone, I am calling today Wellness Wednesday. And no, I didn't make that up, I kind of borrowed it from somebody else, but it sounded really good, so let's do it. Our Wellness Wednesday topic today, I chose iodine. I suppose that is one particular nutrient that we'd like to stay on top of here in our household. So I was wondering how much of you know much about it. Hey Maddie, nice to see you again. Right, so what is iodine? Hopefully most of you have heard of it. You know, some of you obviously will know that it's a trace mineral. It's something that the body needs because we don't produce it on our own. And being a trace mineral, we only need quite small amounts of it. But the interesting thing that I think New Zealanders and Australians need to really be paying attention to is that our soils are deficient in iodine. So the produce that we grow in our own countries is also going to be deficient in iodine. So Kiwis especially, but I think it's actually happening now in all sorts of places, all over the world. I think people in the developed world in general, as I was just reading, are somehow becoming iodine deficient again. Now this was a problem back, I think, in the early, or known to be a problem in the early part of last century and possibly a bit before. And that back in that sort of period was when it was decided that it was a good idea to iodize table salt. And that simple measure was instrumental in reducing the incidence of goiter and that sort of thing all over the world in developed countries. But governments or health departments all over the place are now finding that populations are becoming deficient again. And that's a problem for a lot of reasons. If you know anything about iodine, you know that it is absolutely essential to the thyroid. So if we're deficient in iodine, then our thyroid glands, that's a gland in the neck, the thyroid gland can't function optimally. And if it's not able to do that, then that will have consequences for your overall health. So if your thyroid's not functioning as it should because you're deficient in iodine, you might find that you could be very tired. You may feel depressed. And in fact, a basic thyroid screening is something that should really be done for anybody suffering that sort of symptom. Somebody who's iodine deficient or whose thyroid otherwise isn't functioning as it should may also find that it's very difficult to maintain their correct weight, so they may find that they gain and possibly keep gaining, or they can't lose weight. And iodine's not just important for those of us sitting here, but iodine's really important for developing babies. This is such a problem now in New Zealand, or so well recognised by our Ministry of Health, that pregnant women are now being asked to supplement with iodine. Because one of the effects of an iodine deficiency in a pregnant mother is that it can produce a lowered IQ in the baby, which is not really something that we're looking for. In fact, if it's really sufficiently low, people can wind up with, in some areas, sort of. Obviously, I didn't think through this particular verbiage before I started. I was going to say cretinism is a problem, and that's a substantially lowered IQ. That's basically sort of a form of brain damage that comes about if a mother wasn't sufficient in iodine throughout her pregnancy. So it's really important that pregnant women in New Zealand and possibly in other parts of the world are supplementing with iodine. And I know a few weeks back, I know that somebody on my team was having a discussion with somebody about, you know, what is the point of giving our kids supplements, and that's probably a question that's on a lot of people's minds. Iodine is just as important for our kids as it is for us grown-ups and for developing infants, so something to think about. Okay, so we've got the problem. Our soils are iodine deficient, and Kiwis, there's a significant proportion of Kiwis who are deficient in iodine. I don't have an exact figure for you, I'm sorry. There are references on the New Zealand Ministry of Health website that you can go and look at. Dr. Libby certainly suggests that New Zealanders could be consuming perhaps less than 60% of the recommended daily allowance, if you like, of iodine. So that's not doing our population any favours. But I guess the question now is, what can you do about it, right? So you'll find iodine in seafood. So if you're a seafood lover, then perhaps you're less likely to be very deficient in iodine. Kelp is a great source of iodine, so adding some kelp into your diet may be helpful. There's our local health food shop sells a really delicious kelp salt. So it's just salt with kelp included. So that's been a nice way to add a little bit of extra iodine to our diet. Or the other way, obviously, is to supplement with iodine. And our family takes, or certainly my husband and I should check the kids' vitamins. My husband and I, there's in the supplements that we take, there is some kelp, but I like to make sure that we are taking some in from other sources as well, just to be sure. So, any questions on the iodine? Just trying to think, have I covered everything that I wanted to cover? What it is, what it does. Yeah, so, quick recap. Iodine is an essential trace element that all bodies need. The bulk of Kiwis, or shall we say a large number of Kiwis, are known to be, or are deficient in this very important mineral, and it is really important. It's really important for brain development, and it's really important for the health of your thyroid. And obviously your thyroid produces hormones that are important for regulating all sorts of autonomic processes in your body. So it's pretty key to keep that healthy. If you want to go to your doctor and get tested for your iodine levels, your doctor might suggest doing an iodine loading test, and that is just where they give you a certain set amount of iodine to take, and then they go and measure how much is coming right through, if you catch my drift. So they do a 24-hour collection, and if they know how much has gone in and how much is coming out, they have a pretty good idea of how much your body is holding onto, and therefore whether your body is really hungry for it or not. And there are some sort of other, you can do sort of an iodine patch test, but that obviously isn't as scientifically rigorous a test as the iodine loading test. But if you want information about the iodine patch test, you're welcome to message me afterwards. Or if you'd like to know what we do in our family to ensure that we're getting sufficient iodine, again, you're welcome to message me and we can have a chat about that. And if you think that this information about iodine would be useful to anybody that you know, feel free to share. And if you want to be notified of my other live videos, you can click the follow button and your Facebook will be sure to notify you when I go live next. Thanks for joining me. I will see you again in a few days. Have a good one.